Hey, 5th grade, we're going to talk about 5-1 using patterns to divide. Here we go, make sure your notebooks are open. So the first problem we're going to look at is a word problem, because we all know that we need to start dissecting these. So, a bakery sells muffins to local grocery stores in boxes that hold 20 muffins each. If 60 muffins were sold, how many boxes were used? Well, I know that the two numbers I'm going to work with here are 20 and 60. 60 is the amount that was sold, and there's 20 in each box. So the problem I'm going to write is 60 divided by 20. We learned how to traditionally set up division problems, and I could definitely do that here, but I want to work with a patterns of 10. So, I know I've said this to a couple of you, but look at this. In this number here, I notice I have a number in the tens column, and I have a 0. In this number here, I have a number in the tens column, and I have a 0. Those zeros will actually cancel each other out as long as I have a 0 in both numbers, and I do here. So I can cross out the first 0 as long as I can cross out the second 0. Each number has one 0, so they can cancel each other out. Now, mental math, I know that 6 divided by 2 equals what? Well, it equals 3. So, if there were 60 muffins sold, how many boxes were used? 3 boxes, because I can put 20 muffins in each box. 20, 40, 60. I counted by 20s. Now here we have the same problem, but instead of it being 60 muffins, we're going to have 600 muffins. So 20 muffins in each box, and we have 600 muffins. Our problem is going to be 600 divided by 20. So based on what I just told you, remember if you have a 0 on each side, we can work with this. So I cross out this 0, and I cross out this 0. And now my new problem is 60 divided by 2. Do I know how to work with that? Certainly I do. 6 divided by 2 is what? 3. And then I didn't use this 0, so I have to bring it over. So 60 divided by 2 is 30. We're going to try one more, same pattern. So we did 60 muffins, then we did 600 muffins. Now we're going to do 6,000 muffins. So we're going to have 6,000 divided by 20. I can take this and cross it out. And now my new problem is 600 divided by 2. So I know that 6 divided by 2 is going to be 3. And then how many zeros do I have? I have 1, 2. So it's going to be 300. So 600 divided by 2 is 300. If we sold 6,000 muffins, we would have 300 boxes. So now I know I went through and I erased some of the answers, or you can't see them as we went, but I want to make sure that you understand that there are patterns. Okay? So here's our pattern. The first problem we did was 60 divided by 20, and that gave us 3. The second problem we did was 600 divided by 20, and that gave us 30. The last problem we did was 6,000 divided by 20, and that gave us 300. Where does our pattern come in? Well, let's take a look. There's not a 0 here. There's 1 0 here, and there's 2 zeros here. Let's look at our dividend. Our dividend has 1 0, 2 zeros, 3 zeros. But our divisor always has that 1. So remember, when you crossed it out, it made the 1 disappear. So now there's no 0, no 0. 1 0, 1 0. 2 zeros, 2 zeros. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, here's another problem. A jet carries 18,000 passengers in 90 trips. The plane is full for each trip. How many passengers does the plane hold? Well, the sentence right here, I'm actually going to underline it, that says the plane is full for each trip, that shows me that every single trip has the same amount of passengers. So our problem is going to be 18,000 divided by 90. And I'm hoping from the other problem you're seeing how you can actually solve this. We're going to think of a basic fact to help us solve this. The basic fact that I think of is 18 divided by 9. Unfortunately, it's not that easy. We can't just focus on that. So let's do what I just showed you in the last problem. We can eliminate as many zeros as we have on both sides. So I have 1 0 by my 90, so I can take that away as long as I cross out 1 0 from my 1800. So now, with those gone, my new problem is 1,800 divided by 9. In knowing that, I know that 18 divided by 9 is 2. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remember that I have my 2 zeros that I can't just forget about. So I have to bring both of those over. So 1,800 divided by 9 equals 200. 200 what? It is 200 passengers on each trip. Let's try another way of thinking about that. So our original problem was 18,000 divided by 90. Okay, and we're trying to find what our answer is right here. Even though we know the answer, let's work through a pattern. The basic fact that we knew was 18 divided by 9. So we know that 18 divided by 9 is 2. Now, if we focus on what we know about tens, we're going to move through a process and see a pattern. So the next one we can focus on, if we just add another 0 to both sides, is 180 divided by 90. And essentially what that means is 18 tens divided by 9 tens, because all I did was I took 18 times 10 and 9 times 10, and I got 180 divided by 90, and that equals 2. Okay, let's try and work with a pattern of 10 again. Now what we're going to do is we are going to take 1,800 and divide it by 90. So what this means is that we have 180 tens divided by 9 tens, which equals 20, because you have your 18 divided by 9, and then you add your 0 to the end, and you get 20. Okay? So now, if we took our original problem, because that's adding the next 0, and we had 18,000 divided by 90, that would give us 1,800 tens divided by 9 tens, which would equal 200. So that is our final answer. If there's 18,000 passengers that go on 90 flights, we would have 200 passengers per flight. Those are two different ways to look at patterns when dividing. Find out whichever one you agree with and whichever one makes sense to you and use that. Use it to your benefits. Zeros are awesome because they're so easy to work with. I hope this helped. I think it'll make more sense when you're actually working through the problems yourself and not just listening to me. Good luck!